The false card you have your past is the Page of Swords. Excuse me. So I'm getting a few mixed things around this. I'm getting wanting to solve something, wanting to fix something, work out what's wrong. Something was kind of puzzling you. Also wanting to defend yourself. And I'm also getting that you couldn't really properly defend yourself. You had to be quite careful. So I think this was a situation around work, because you had to be very careful with your words. You couldn't just go off on someone. And you don't normally do that anyway, but I think this was quite a frustrating situation. I actually think someone might have been criticizing something around your work. I think this might have been a subjective thing. I think someone might have come and asked you, can you do this thing for me? And maybe you said to them something like, well, what exactly would you like? What's the brief? What do you want? What are your requirements? Whatever. And maybe they were quite vague, or they said, oh, whatever you like, or something like that. Not exactly those words, but it was something quite open, something very open, something very subjective. So I think you went and did whatever it was, and they weren't happy, or they were complaining, or they were kind of criticizing things, but they didn't give you anything to kind of latch onto. What I mean by that is, maybe you said to them something like, well, what aren't you happy with, and what exactly would you like to see? And they were very vague, like, oh, I don't know, it's just not right, I just don't like it, I'm just not happy. And you're like, well, what would you like to see? What is wrong with it? What would you like to change on it? You're being quite objective about this. And they were being very subjective, very vague, very difficult. And I think maybe they were complaining just to kind of be a bit difficult with you. I don't think this was a client, actually. It might have been someone who worked with you. It might have been a client, I don't know. But I think this is someone, it could have been a client, but I think it was someone who thought they were in some kind of competition with you, or they thought you're getting a bit big for yourself or something, and they were trying to kind of disarm you in a really kind of sneaky way, I think. And they did this in a way that you couldn't quite defend yourself, because you would look a bit silly and petty or whatever. And, you couldn't quite work out what they wanted. And they knew that you were in the workplace, so you had to be careful about what you said. So all of this was going on. So this is quite a sneaky person. I don't like saying things like this, because people say, oh, you're trying to make us all paranoid. I'm not trying to do that. This is just what I'm seeing here. So what I can say to you is, I know you don't like people questioning your reputation. That's a thing that really bothers you, because you do have a very good reputation. And I think you might have been a bit emotional about this as well, but internally, I don't think you were showing this, and it might have made you also a little bit unable to concentrate on some things. Now, this might have been what they were trying to do. They might have tried to make you feel as if you were kind of not quite good enough, and putting you off your game and all of that kind of thing. So just watch out for this person if they're still around you. This is quite a kind of a sly person. Whatever you do, don't let them affect your confidence, because you're very good at what you do, absolutely good at what you do. And I think they know this. I am seeing there might be some kind of a setup here with this person. So just be aware of them. Just be very careful around them. So that's what I'm seeing there. I hate to make this so negative. The next card you have for your past is the Eight of Wands. Here we are. So this is what I'm seeing here. Exactly the same thing. Competition. When I'm looking at these wands right now, they're looking like a race to me. And it's like, okay, here's the race. Who's going to win? Who do they think they are? I can do better than them. So I'm going to try and use these sneaky things, little tactics, to put them off guard. So they're all a little bit stressed, and they kind of question themselves, and then they can't concentrate, and then I win. That is no way to win the competition. It's going to happen to them. They're going to fall down. It's not going to work for them. It never does with people like this. Absolutely not. So, and it was quite sneaky, quite subtle as well. That's what I'm seeing. But they do think they're in some kind of competition with you. I can see that quite clearly now. Don't let them put you off. Do not let them put you off. The other thing I'm seeing is make sure, because this card is about communication. So when you have communication with this person, make sure you communicate either through email or through text, just so that you have some kind of record of your conversations with them. I don't think they're going to do this, but just in case they do something, they take things further, they kind of go up above you or something, or try to do something sneaky, you have a record of all of your communication, and you can show that you've been very clear, you've been very concise, you've been very professional, polite, all of that kind of thing. And you've done nothing wrong, and you can show that very, very clearly. And also, if you decide in the future to take this further, you have the evidence of that as well. So just make sure you do that, but also don't put a lot of energy into keeping notes. Don't sit there writing lots of notes or anything like that, because that means you're putting a lot of thought, a lot of energy into this, and kind of it's going to be going around in your head. That might make you kind of lose even more confidence, because you're thinking, oh, this horrible person's done this, and I'm writing this all down and thinking about this all the time. So don't put lots of effort into it. Just keep all the communication kind of in one place if you can, or keep it there so that you have it if you need it. That's what I'm seeing. So I think, I actually think they don't know who they're dealing with, really. They're going to come into some kind of a shock if they do decide to take this further. They really are. You're a very professional, very kind of keeping to yourself, doing your work kind of person. You're very efficient. But if somebody comes and messes around with you, they go a step too far, they have to watch out. That's what I see. So the last card you have for your past is the Four of Cups. Okay, so yeah, it's not just this situation here, it's with a lot of things in your life. I think you're coming to this time, or you were at this time, where you were like, I'm not going to be this person who everyone comes to constantly. I'm not going to be this person who constantly gives and gives and gives and puts up with bad behavior, like what I was seeing in the Page of Swords. I'm happy to help, I'm here for people, but I'm not putting up with, rubbish anymore. I'm really, really not. That's what I'm seeing in this card. You are coming out of this kind of helper role. You're changing a lot, and you're giving off that vibe. And I think there are some people around you who notice that change, or they've noticed this, and they might even be feeling a little bit put off by this, a little bit intimidated even. I don't think you've said anything to anyone. I don't think you've come out and said, right, from now on, I'm not going to give and give anymore. You haven't said anything, but people are picking up on this kind of energy of you kind of putting up a barrier there and saying no. And maybe that was what this person in the Page of Swords was picking up on as well, and that's why they were kind of stepping up their game around you, but no excuses for them. But this kind of energy can bring out a lot of hidden personality traits in people sometimes, and it can be really surprising sometimes. You get both good and bad coming up in people, and different things, different aspects of their personality you hadn't noticed before. So you might be noticing that kind of thing around people, and it's because of this no nonsense, no more rubbish, I'm not going to just give and give and give any more kind of vibe that you're giving out to people. There is someone around you. I think there is a love connection around you. I think this is someone who might be trying to, or kind of not trying to communicate, but they're kind of a little bit not sure about communicating with you. They might be a little bit afraid, a little bit intimidated as well. I think this new strength that's coming from you might be doing that to them as well. And I think they might be afraid that you don't want them or something like that, because if you look at this man, he's refusing what's being offered to him. I think they're very, very slowly trying to offer you communication. It's like they don't want you to forget them, but they don't want to disappear either. So, they don't want you to forget them. And so, yeah, they don't want to disappear, but they also don't want to bug you too much. And I know I'm stumbling with what I'm saying. Okay, let me think about how I'm going to say this. They're very slow to communicate with you. So they're taking a long time. You might just be getting a message here, a message there, and you might be thinking, well, they're not really that interested. If they were, they'd talk to me more. But what they're doing is they're afraid that you don't want them. And so they don't want to bother you and annoy you and be that person who kind of texts you all day and night. So they're holding back quite a lot, but they don't want you to totally forget about them. So they're still texting you a little bit. I hope that makes sense. I hope that I said that a lot clearer than when I started, because I know I messed up what my brain was kind of modelling. Sometimes I see things and they come into my brain a lot quicker than I can say them, and I get all messed up. So I'm not making excuses for myself, but yeah. They don't want to underdo the communication, but they are. But they don't want to overdo the communication either. So they are actually underdoing it. So that's what I'm seeing in that card. I hope that makes sense. So the first card you have, you present, is the Queen of Swords. So here we are. This is the Queen of Barriers. This is the Queen of, I'm not taking any nonsense. I'm not going to just give and give and give. I'm putting up my barriers. And if you're going to expect all these things from me that you used to, forget about it. So this is the vibe I'm seeing here. This is the energy that's radiating out from you to other people. And, you know, it's like, I'm here. I'm here as me. I'm a strong person. What I'm not is a doormat. That is what I am not. So, you know, I think if you look at this card, it even goes further than that, because this card, I don't know if you can see this, but just around the bottom of this queen, there's actually fire. It's red around her feet. It looks like a little bit like a ring of fire to me. So you might even take it one step further. You might even get angry with people if they keep on trying at you. You're not like this at all. So this is a huge change for you. And obviously a lot of people have really, really tried you over and over again to get you to this stage. And I think, yeah, you are seeing a lot of changes in the people around you. You might be second guessing yourself and thinking, wow, am I going in the right path? Am I really doing the right thing? Because people are changing and you know, I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable with this. But it's just an adjustment. I think it is a good thing that you're doing this. I think it needs to be done. There's an adjustment happening with the people around you, and you're adjusting to that as well. That's what I'm seeing. And also, I think you're doing this for another reason. I think you're going through a few spiritual changes as well. You know, if you look at this queen, she has clouds all over her cape, and there are clouds all just behind her as well, all around her. It's like she's up in the clouds. And clouds, wind, all of that kind of thing, that can represent spirit sometimes. And, you know, when we're going, okay, here's the drilling. When we're going through spiritual changes, I'll try and ignore it. Yeah, we need to try to protect ourselves from other people's energies. So there's a feeling of wanting to create this barrier around yourself, and that might be a part of why you're doing this as well. So there are a lot of different reasons why you're creating that barrier around yourself. So the next card you have for your present is the Nine of Wands. Okay, so this is what I'm seeing here. I think this person in the Four of Cups, I think they are going to keep on trying to pursue you, persevere with you. But persevering, as far as they're concerned, is kind of going very, very slowly in this communication. And I'm seeing that still. I'm seeing them very slow. It's still very, very slow. And I think you might have almost given up on them a few times. You're thinking, well, they're not interested at all. You might have been thinking something like, or you might still be thinking something like, well, they're communicating, but they're just not interested. They're kind of giving me these little texts, and everyone else in my life, you know, communicates a lot more than them. So clearly they're not interested. And you know, sometimes people say things like, oh, if someone's interested in you, they'll move mountains to talk to you. Not always. You know, some people are cautious for various reasons. A lot of people don't speak up when they probably should as well. So again, they're still going to be like this. They're still going to be very slow, very careful. But for them, in their eyes, they're still pursuing you. You might not see that, but that's what they're doing. That's what I'm seeing in that card. So the last card you have, your present, is the Eight of Pentacles. Okay, so you have two eights, which is the infinity symbol. So I think you are kind of sitting around thinking about this person, thinking about their lack of communication, getting a bit frustrated, getting a bit bewildered with why they're acting like this. And it's kind of like, I'm waiting forever. I'm waiting forever. I don't want to give you more than you're giving me, because I'm in the Queen of Swords mode. you know, I'm tired of overgiving and I'm not going to overgive. But, you know, if you're not going to give to me, I'm not going to give to you. But, you know, what are you doing? There's a little bit of interest. I know you're interested, but you're not going the whole way. So, you know, what's going on here? That's kind of what's in your mind. But I think you do have a little bit of interest toward them, because you haven't given up on them either. I think if you weren't interested in them at all, you would have just walked away, but you haven't actually done that. So there is some interest there. The other thing I'm seeing is, this is about this, so this is about work, but I think there's something else going on outside of work as well. And I think whatever this is that you're working on, and I see this all the time in your readings, this thing you're working on, I think you might be able to say goodbye to the workplace soon if that's what you want to do. You might not want to do that. I know you do like to have a lot of things going on at once when it comes to work, so you might want to stay there, I don't know. But this is going to take off at some time, and I think you're already working on this, and I think you can see this progressing, and I think you can see something is going to come from that. But I think after a while, it's going to get higher and higher, and it's going to be higher than you. Because if you look at these coins, this man's working on these coins, he's putting them on the tree trunk, and as he places them there, they're rising up higher than his head. They're getting taller than him. So when this thing gets bigger than you, bigger than everything else you're doing, you're going to have to make some decisions around this. Am I going to leave my workplace and just work on this? Am I going to give up other things as well? Because I think you have a lot of other things going on as well. You are going to have to cut things out if you focus on this. My view is that I think you should focus on this, because I think you have a lot of things down the line that are going to come from this. A lot of things are going to open up for you. One of the things I'm seeing is travel. And I think you have been thinking about wanting to travel internationally as well. I'm seeing that might come from that. So don't give up on this. I know this is totally up to you, and I know you like to have a lot of different things going on at once. But I think if you are serious about this, you are eventually going to have to totally focus on that, because it's going to grow and grow, and it is going to get bigger than you. And it's going to be this big golden thing that's going to grow bigger than you. So yeah, I know I'm repeating myself. So yeah, the first card you have for your future is the Six of Cups. Okay, so maybe this is why, because I think you have got some interest in this person in the Four of Cups, but you're kind of not, you're not that upset about it. You're kind of sitting there a little bit frustrated by their lack of communication, but you're not all that upset about it. And this is the reason I think here. I think there is someone else who might be on your mind. It's a different person. Again, it's not this person from the Four of Cups, it's someone else. And this is a really happy card. It's a really sweet card usually. It can be about nostalgia, looking back over the past memories. I think that's what you're doing with this person who you're thinking about. This is someone completely different. I don't actually think you have a chance of getting together with this person. Not the person in the Four of Cups again. This is another person. I think you know that. I think this person probably feels a little bit like the one that got away for you. Now, I actually don't think you want to be with this person for practical reasons. There are a lot of reasons why this wouldn't be possible. I'm seeing a big difference in life experience. I'm seeing a big difference in expectations. There are things also that can't be rectified, resolved between you as well. And so you know you can't be with them. That's what I'm picking up on. You know that. You know it wouldn't work. But I think subconsciously you might be looking to recreate this feeling you had with this person back in all these memories. So again, I don't want to be negative, but you know, you can't create the same feelings you had with one person again with another person. It's not going to work like that. It does not work. That doesn't mean you can't have different, beautiful, positive feelings with someone else. You absolutely can. And that's what you should be looking toward. Different doesn't mean worse. If you're going to have a different situation, a different experience in the future, it doesn't mean worse than this. You might be feeling like, oh, it's not going to get better than this. This is the best it's going to get for me. I'm looking over this old situation. I'm remembering these things. It was an amazing time. I'm never going to get that back again. No, you're not going to get that back again. But you need to open yourself up to new things. They might be just as good as this. They might be better than this. It's a possibility that they can be, but you're not letting that possibility happen because you're thinking about this person and you're thinking about the memories and you're really not letting the new things come in. That's what I'm seeing. I think you really need to start giving new people a chance, and that's not what you're doing here. So if you're interested in this person in the Four of Cups, which I'm seeing you do have an interest in them, maybe you should just reach out to them a bit, show them you're interested. If this is what you want to do, of course you don't have to, but I think if you did, they'd be really happy and they'd be really surprised by that, you know, very, very happily surprised. You know, obviously do whatever you feel like doing, but I am seeing the need for you to let other people in, especially in love. It doesn't have to be now, because I think you are going through these changes where you have these barriers up around you. But at least just think about this. Think about this. You can't go back. You cannot go back. You can go forward, and you can go forward into new, really good, really beautiful things.